It is that time once again. It is time for the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. Hope everyone had a fantastic 4th of July. Grilling meats, swimming, all sorts of stuff. How you doing there tonight, T-Dog?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Still a little tired, it feels like, from the 4th of July festivities, but it's good to be back on the show talking sports with you. It feels different that we're on a Wednesday.
It does.
But got to give the Tan and J-Man Show Nation what they want. Got to keep the streak going. We're at 294 now, J-Man.
That's right.
Chipping away to that 300.
One. Yeah. 3-day weekends, albeit the greatest gift God has given us. They are a little taxing, it feels like. It takes a few days to recover.
Are you one of those people that'd be all in favor of a 4-day work week?
You bet your bottom dollar. I will work however many hours I need to the first 4 days in order to get a 3-day weekend.
Fair. Yeah. That's fair. Aren't there some countries going to that? Or am I just making that up?
I think a lot of countries are starting to do it. And I know some places in the U.S. are doing it too, like 4 10-hour days or whatever, and get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. I'd be all for it. I mean, those 4 days would suck. I've done it before for 1 week, and I'm sure I'd get used to it. But, the upside of having 3 days off is awfully enticing.
Yeah, but then, you know, what I've always said is, yeah, that's great, but then how long before we get tired of that and what 3-day work weeks and 4-day weekends and where does it stop? So I don't know, but it is interesting to talk about. That's for sure. And but I like your theory of holidays, especially should be 3-day weekends.
Every single one, regardless of what day it falls on. Give me a 3-day weekend instead of having a random Tuesday off any day of the week.
Hey, I'm not gonna disagree with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. I argue with you enough about other things. So, but I do have some birdie or bogey for you this evening. Let me find the banner here. All right. Well, I'll let you pick which category of a question you want: football or baseball.
Neither. Give me baseball.
I will give you baseball. You might have seen this. If so, I'm in trouble. We are tied, I believe, at 6 over par.
Yeah, 6 over par.
As embarrassing as it is to admit that.
That is pathetic.
Max Scherzer, he's a pretty good pitcher for the New York Mets.
Two different colored eyes.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, huh? He recorded his 28th career game with 10 strikeouts and 0 walks, passing Curt Schilling for second most in MLB history. Who is the only person ahead of him now?
I did not see that, but that is a really good question. 28 games, 10 strikeouts, and 0 walks. Somebody, obviously, probably a Hall of Famer, I'd imagine.
Yes, I will give you that much.
That is it's a good question there. Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC for fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce from Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Get your veggie!
Yeah, they had a good face or Instagram post. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Of course, now I'm not going to be able to find it when I want to. Okay, so they had a post today about companion planting. Marigolds planted alongside tomatoes. And it says, slugs and snails love marigolds, leaving the tomatoes for us to enjoy. They also attract beneficial insects like bees, butterflies, and ladybugs who eat pests like I don't know how to pronounce that one, and caterpillars. Marigolds also deter tomato worms and larger animals like rabbits, deer, and cats. This is a great example of a symbiotic relationship.
Good pronunciation.
Marigolds help your tomatoes there, J-Man.
I always like to help you out with your pronunciation, so I'm going to see which one you were struggling with.
It's before caterpillar there.
Before caterpillar. Aphids? It's a tough one.
That's kind of what I thought, maybe aphids, but
it's a tough one. I've never seen that before.
Maybe it was one of those hidden pronunciations, like it doesn't even sound like it's spelled out. So
I'm sure I butchered it.
Yeah, well, you took the risk. You took the jump. But you just learned some facts about your tomatoes, and Noble Gnome grows some great tomatoes for all you tomato lovers out there.
I'm a big fan of the Maters, let me
Yes,
tell
you
you.
are. Yes, you are.
Let me tell you.
Well, here's the other question I was going to potentially give you, J-Man.
All right.
And we might talk about this later in the episode, but if not, I'll hit it now. Baker Mayfield was traded today from the Cleveland Browns to the Carolina Panthers in exchange for a future 5th-round pick. So he's the 3rd number 1 overall pick in the common draft era since 1967 that lasted 4 or fewer seasons with the NFL team that he debuted with. Who are the other 2? Both quarterbacks, both in our lifetime.
That's a good number 1 overall pick.
No, I take it back. One in our lifetime. One was drafted before our lifetime.
But played in our lifetime.
Yes.
Man, that's a good one. You want me to answer now?
Yeah.
Number 1 overall picks. One of them, Jeff George.
One of them is Jeff George. Played 4 seasons with the Colts.
Is he the one that was drafted before our?
Yeah, I believe he was.
First?
I believe he was.
I was right. Yeah, I was right around.
This other guy was definitely after.
Number 1 overall pick. Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, good guess. He played for more than 4 seasons with the Patriots.
Patriots. I don't know.
Jamarcus Russell played 3 seasons with the Raiders.
Oh man, should have known that one. Purple drank himself.
Yep.
We've said this story before a bunch, but it always makes me chuckle. One time, Jamarcus Russell, as you can hear my dog going nuts in the background, Jamarcus Russell was sent home with some tape because the Raiders coaching staff did not believe that he was actually watching any. You know what? I'm going to mute it really quick because my dog's going nuts. Anyway, he's not done, but that happens. But Jamarcus Russell was sent home with some tape because the Raiders coaching staff did not believe he was actually watching any sort of tape. And he came back and they asked him how what he saw on film. And he's like, the linebacker's doing this, safety's doing this. They sent blank tapes home with him. There was nothing on the tapes whatsoever. And he completely lied to him, saying that stuff was on the tape.
Wow, that's incredible. I had not heard that. I don't think you've told that one on here before.
You hadn't heard that?
No, I had not
heard that on a different podcast. But yeah, a former linebacker for the Raiders. I forget which linebacker, but yeah, he said they sent blank tapes home with him just to see if he was watching them, and he clearly wasn't.
It's probably one of the many reasons he only lasted 3 seasons with the Raiders. So,
yep,
I'm still convinced Notre Dame helped him become the number 1 overall draft pick with him lighting him up in that Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, I remember he wasn't getting that much buzz before that game, and then just dominated them.
Yeah, it was a pretty
classic
incredible
Raiders,
performance. Speaking of college football, this impacts a lot of other sports around the college landscape and really some other conferences and the whole world of college sports, really. The Big Ten last week decided they were just going to drop a casual bombshell on us all by adding their 15th and 16th teams starting in 2024 with the additions of the University of Southern California, a.k.a. USC, and the University of California, Los Angeles, a.k.a. UCLA. Did you see this coming, J-Man?
When I saw the tweet originally, I thought it was a joke because, for one, geographically it makes 0 sense. Absolutely 0 sense. Even Rutgers makes 0 sense, I guess. But the LA schools make no sense at all geographically. It just did not seem, they just seem so much different than any other Big Ten schools. Obviously, Big Ten schools are cold weather, all of that. You're adding Los Angeles schools to that. It just threw me completely off guard. And I find it weird. In the farther we get from the announcement, I still find it incredibly weird. It almost feels like it didn't happen in a sense. And it's going to be really strange that first time we see them with a Big Ten logo on their uniforms.
Yeah, it caught me off guard too. Was I surprised the Big Ten decided to add some more schools? No, but I guess I'm surprised they're going to do it so soon. I thought maybe it was down the line when some other conferences decide to grow, or come 2025 when Texas and the Oklahoma actually join the SEC. But that decision last year to leave the Big 12 and join the SEC come 2025 by Texas and Oklahoma definitely spearheaded this movement, no doubt in my mind. And you were talking about geographically speaking, that kind of went out the window years ago. It seems like, especially with the Big 12's latest additions of not Houston or Brigham Young so much, but Central Florida, Cincinnati, that kind of didn't make as much sense. Maybe it made more sense than Rutgers having to play USC or UCLA or Maryland.
I guess it started with the Big 12 when they added West Virginia.
That's true. I keep forgetting they are. That's a good point. I get. Yeah, it's still weird to me too. I mean, they would be a good addition. Both USC more so for football than basketball, but they're a good basketball school. They usually make the tournament. They just don't make too much noise in the tournament. UCLA will be a better addition for basketball, but they've had good years in football. They got other strong programs. I know. I think it was UCLA volleyball looked like they were going to be kind of canceled, so to speak. And now going to the Big Ten is going to save them. And the Big Ten's a great volleyball conference. Now they do have some sports, both schools, that the Big Ten don't, and I don't think either of those schools have a wrestling program, if I'm not mistaken. The Big Ten's a good wrestling conference, so there will be some variables there.
The three sports that at least UCLA has, and they probably both have, the Big Ten doesn't, is men's volleyball, beach volleyball, and I think water polo was the other one. So they're going to stay in the Pac-12 for those, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. UCLA will dominate baseball, dominate it. And really USC's had some good years too. But UCLA, I mean, perennial College World Series participant even, which the Big Ten doesn't have many of those. I know Indiana went a few years ago, but other than that, I think Michigan might have had an appearance, but that's one where UCLA should dominate. UCLA's volleyball has been great. But as you said, I mean, you have 8 schools, it seems like, in the top 25 in women's volleyball throughout the year. So, sports-wise, awesome. And it's pretty clear that they don't have the student athletes in their mind when they're making these sort of decisions. But at the same time, the athletes are able to make money now. So you almost kind of have to treat it like a job. In a sense, which it was a job to begin with. And, but yeah, having to go play like UCLA or USC going out to Rutgers to play on like a Tuesday night in basketball in any sport, really, having to come back. You have a 5-hour flight there, 5-hour flight back. You have a 3-hour time difference. It's definitely going to be an adjustment.
I mean, you would think, if they can make it happen more times than not, they'll schedule those games, like, for instance, Rutgers, USC, on weekends, not on weekdays. But it is rough for the student athletes, don't get me wrong, but it's more doable now with online classes and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely different. I saw somebody comparing it. Well, the NFL does this all the time. The Eagles go out to play the Rams. Nobody says anything. It's like, well, they get a whole week to rest and recover, and they're getting paid millions of dollars. So. And
they don't have to do school.
Right, exactly. So, no, it's still, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I haven't, I guess, come to terms with it yet. I mean, we still got 2 more years before it comes to effect. But I guess my question to you, do you think the Big Ten's done, or at least done for the foreseeable future?
I read actually today that it was from a source that's very plugged into like the Pac-12. And he said he thinks the Big Ten's going to wait it out for 2 years, stand pat, because there have been rumors about Oregon and Washington. And it sounds like Oregon and Washington want to stay in the Pac-12 or maybe go Big 12. But they're going to stand pat for 2 years and then make a run at Notre Dame. That has been the rumors, which that one geographically makes all the sense in the world.
Always made sense.
And it's always made sense. Now, would the Big Ten be okay with Notre Dame still having NBC?
I don't think so.
I know the ACC would do everything in their power to try to keep them in basketball anyway, or every other sport. But yeah, I don't see. Of course, no one saw this one coming. It came out of absolutely nowhere. There weren't even any rumors. I mean, there's been rumors about expansion. Maybe Kansas, Iowa State, but then to have USC and UCLA thrown in there, it just throws chaos. It's just absolute chaos now.
Well, and with Notre Dame, I don't know when their NBC deal comes up. The Big Ten TV deal, it sounds like it could be doubled from $50 million per school to $100 million with the additions of USC and UCLA. And I've seen rumors that maybe the NBC gets in and tries to get rights to the Big Ten. If that happens, then that definitely changes the game for Notre Dame. So I don't know. I just maybe it's because I'm really not a Notre Dame fan by any means. I don't know how much longer their deal with NBC's going to last. It just seems like nowadays with your different streaming options, everything. I know NBC's got Peacock, of course, but I don't know. It just seems like to me that the days of one channel only holding games of one team should be over.
Yeah. And I mean, Notre Dame's essentially an ACC football school at this point.
Yeah. They play five of them.
And they played in the ACC during the COVID year.
Yeah.
So, including played for an ACC championship, I believe, didn't they, against Clemson?
Yes, you are correct, because they beat Clemson during regular season and lost to them the ACC championship.
They're essentially an ACC school. They can say they're independent all they want, but they have this deal with the ACC, and it makes sense. But I think Big Ten's going to go hard after them next.
Well, and if you're the Big Ten, you can really play hardball and say, if you don't want to join our conference, then no playing Michigan, no playing Michigan, no playing any of our teams. So, Michigan State, Purdue, who they used to play every year, now play maybe every few years. No playing them. No playing Ohio State, who they play this year, next year for the the big TV rating games like that. No playing Wisconsin. They could play hardball and say that and kind of back them into a corner, because I feel like Notre Dame is getting backed into a corner to where their days as an independent might be coming to a close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they might have to join the Big Ten, or like you said, the ACC, or maybe the SEC. That's one not being really thrown around, but I don't think they want to join the SEC.
No, which is interesting. Why Texas would join? Because why would they want to join? Yet they did it.
I know.
So
the whole conference expansion goes back to the Longhorn Network.
Yeah,
over
it really does.
Ago. Nebraska got mad and said we're leaving the Big 12 for the Big 10. That kind of started the movement, and ever since then it hadn't really stopped. Every couple of years it changes. The landscape changes. Yep. Now the Big 12 you mentioned earlier, looks like they're making a hard run at 6 of the Pac-12 schools. Mm-hmm. I think those schools, if I'm not mistaken, are Arizona State, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Utah are the 6, which kind of leaves Stanford out in the dust. But it's just weird. I mean, USC, going back to the Big 10, USC and UCLA, they fit perfect academic wise, and really 15 of the new 16 schools do. The outliers, Nebraska, they're the ones that have never really fit in academic wise.
Nebraska hasn't fit in anywhere.
That's a good point. It has not been a smooth transition like they thought, but it's just going to be interesting. I mean, I think all these conferences will keep their current names no matter what their the numbers of the actual teams are, just from branding and everything purposes. But I think the SEC, I don't think they're done. I think they're going to go after Clemson and Florida State from the ACC. And if that happens, then who knows? Maybe Carolina and Duke are like, we want out of the ACC. And if that's the case, if I'm the Big Ten, I go after those two in a heartbeat. I know football is your moneymaker, but if you can get a school like Carolina and Duke for their basketball and for their brands, you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the NCAA, as we know, it's going to go away. It sounds like schools are starting to pull out or wanting to pull out of the NCAA. And you know what? The NCAA had so many opportunities to get ahead of a lot of this stuff, and they just didn't do it. And it's going to be their own downfall. And that's okay with me.
And I don't think that would have a huge effect on football. Mm-hmm. But basketball, I think it could. I mean, what's the NCAA tournament look like then?
Yeah, going to have to do a different name.
Figure
something out.
Yeah, and how can the smaller schools that are still associated with the NCAA get in it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's
It could
interesting.
ruin that whole thing.
Have you gained any sort of respect for Kevin Warren?
From a business point of view, I guess I have, but I still think he makes a lot of dumb decisions.
Mhm.
But I mean, you look from a business point of view, and I know Jim Delaney was the one that got, of course, well, the Chicago market's always been there for the Big Ten. He's the one that went and got the DC and the NYC TV markets. But Warren just went and got LA. So across the country, you got 4 of the biggest TV markets right in your conference. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the top 3 biggest in the country.
And I don't know where DC stands.
It's got to be up there, though.
Yeah. I guess one of them they would be missing. Atlanta and Dallas would be 2 others they were missing probably.
The 4th largest city in the world, or U.S.
So, but they're not going to go grab anybody from Texas, I don't think. I think that ship has sailed. But
one thing, and it's been a terrible tenure for Larry Scott, the Pac-12 commissioner. I mean, it's been awful, and now his legacy is going to be losing all these schools. You could honestly, you might even be able to call him the worst commissioner in the history of college sports.
Well, Phil Knight, the big, founder of Nike, big Oregon backer, maybe this is his chance to save the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Because I was reading, he doesn't want them to go to the Big 12. He'd rather stay in the Pac-12 or go to the Big 10. Of course, Oregon and Washington want to come to the Big 10, but if the Big 10 don't want them, he can't do anything about it.
Right.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. I know in our group message with our friend group, I messaged everybody. I'm like, I can't believe how much college sports changed in the last decade. And you're like, decade? I can't believe how much has changed in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Since COVID,
mm-hmm.
Everything's changed. Yep. And we've had NIL. We've had transfer portal just explode. You can be eligible the moment you step onto campus. Now we have all this conference realignment. There's been more conference realignment in the last 2 years than there was the previous 20.
That's good point. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're far from finished. I mean, we even saw the rumor of Kansas wanting to potentially leave the Big 12 and join the Big East for basketball and go independent football, which their football's so horrific. I don't think anybody would mind.
No.
But it's it's wild. Just when I think we've kind of got it all figured out and settled down, it changes. Snap of a finger again. And it's just like, when's it going to stop? Where's the end?
No idea.
Is it a college football playoff getting created? I mean, what's the end game here? I know it's all about the money. It's the business, but it's just hard to foresee what's next.
Yeah, I'd like to see 5 years from now how it all looks and how it all shakes out.
Because these are still student athletes. They're not supposed to be professional players.
Mm-hmm.
I know they can have the ability to get paid now, but I mean, where's the line in the sand drawn? I mean, it almost feels like they're almost minor leaguers at this point.
Yeah, they are. It's they're feeding into professional sports.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, the Big Ten with 16 teams, the Big Ten hasn't publicly announced anything, but it's been long thought that starting next year in 2023 in football, they're going to do away of the East and West divisions. Mm-hmm. Well, once UCLA and USC come on board in 2024, you have 16 teams. You almost have to do some sort of divisions. Do you do 4 14 pods? Do you split it up and do 2 18 divisions?
I have no idea.
I think you almost go 4 14 pods like the NFL does with their divisions.
Yes. So scheduling, it sounds like they're going to go to like a 3-3-6 sort of thing. You have 3 built-in rivals in a sense. You have 3 non-con, and then you have 6 of your division maybe. And it just rotates. So yeah, scheduling, because the 2024 schedules are pretty much already set in stone. So it's going to be quite the shuffle here in the next few years.
I mean, you could do the four pods of 4, I guess. You could have Nebraska and Iowa with the 2 California schools, or maybe you could put Minnesota in there instead of Iowa. You could have the 2 Illinois and 2 Indiana schools in a pod together. You'd have the 2 Michigan schools, Wisconsin, and I guess Minnesota,
Iowa, or Minnesota,
or either one. And then you could have Rutgers, Penn State, Ohio State, and Maryland.
Mm-hmm. It works.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it geographically if you want to. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. I'd like that. I think more than 2 8-team divisions.
Yeah, because you wouldn't play your entire division,
right?
At all, unless they go to unless they go like scale it back to 2 non-conference games. But it's the fun in that.
Yeah, right. And a lot of the non-con schedules are, like you said, are already set in stone years in advance, and those are big money makers, especially for the smaller schools.
Yeah, schools are like scheduling 2030 games.
Yeah,
2031. It's 10 years off.
Yep, and that's, I think we were talking about that a little bit over the weekend. Like they're made so far in advance, you don't know what that program is going to look like in 10 years. They might be great right now. When you schedule them 10 years, they might be awful, or vice versa. You're like, all right, that's going to be an automatic W. Come 10 years, it's their top 10 team. So you never know what you're going to get. But that's the fun of the non-conference matchups. But definitely some big bombshell news that rattled the college sports world, especially, of course, the Big Ten. The Big Ten is one of our big topics we talk about. So definitely had to bring it up and get your thoughts. And we'll keep it on our radar because it seems like there's more news and rumors every day.
Yep. And before you know it, the college football season is going to start.
I know it.
2 months from this week.
Yep. And it looks like I lost Josh. I think his internet connection might have went away. Hopefully he comes back. But like he was saying, college football starts in 2 months. And it looks like he is back now. Oh, I got him back in.
I do not know what happened.
That's all right. I didn't really get on anything else. I did not touch
anything.
I didn't get on to anything else. So I was talking about how you mentioned that college football's going to be starting here in 2 months. So, Yep. We'll have plenty more to talk about. But unless you got anything else, let's move on to a segment.
No, okay. That works for me.
You want to get educated?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see what's happened on this day in sports history. A lot of Wimbledon. On this day in 1929, the St. Louis Cardinals set an MLB run record with 28 runs on 28 hits, defeating the Phillies 28-6.
Remember when the Rangers scored 30 runs back in 2006, I want to say? I
do not.
Maybe it's 2009. I think it's 2009, actually.
So is that the new record then?
Yes.
Okay. On this day, 1933, the first MLB All-Star game was played. The AL was victorious over the NL 4-2 at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Who hit the first All-Star home run?
American League or National League?
This guy was American Leaguer.
What year?
1933.
Lou Gehrig.
Good guess, Babe Ruth.
Ah, man, I thought it was too obvious.
Speaking of Lou Gehrig, on this day, 1941, the New York Yankees team unveiled a monument to former captain Lou Gehrig in center field at Yankee Stadium. The future Hall of Famer died the previous month. Now they have a lot of monuments out there. Monument Park.
Going to be running out of jersey numbers.
Oh, yeah, they already, all single digits are already retired, so. Let's see here. On this day, 1956, MLB Commissioner Ford Frick inaugurated the Cy Young Award to honor baseball's outstanding pitcher of the season. I figured it started before that, to be honest.
Cy Young was around until the 20s, I want to say, so.
A lot of Wimbledon. Not even get a test, yeah. On this day, 1980, MLB Philadelphia Phillies starter Steve Carlton struck out 7 Cardinals to reach 2,836 strikeouts, the most by a left-handed pitcher in MLB history.
He's going.
Yeah, not bad. On this day, 1986, Atlanta infielder Bob Horner became the 11th player to hit 4 home runs in an MLB game during the Braves' 11-8 loss versus the Montreal Expos.
I don't remember the last 4-homer game. It was probably Josh Hamilton when he did it in Baltimore, I remember.
Yeah, I will look that up after we get through
pretty
this.
Pretty sure it's Josh Hamilton.
On this day, 1989, ex-Phillies third baseman Mike Schmidt became the first retired MLB player to be named to start the All-Star game. He elects not to play.
He's the first what?
He was the first retired MLB player to be named to start the All-Star game. He elects not to play.
Wonder how he got on the ballot.
Did he retire early in the season or something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot left open there on that question.
I did see that the commissioner is now allowed to choose one player from each league. So I think if Manfred's smart enough, which he's not, let's be honest, he would pick like a retiring former superstar. Like probably Albert Pujols should be the guy in the National League this year. It's his last year.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Why is he not getting more of a swan song?
Because he's been terrible for a few years now. It's
so good for so long.
Yeah, he was the most feared hitter, not even just right-handed hitter, and that includes Barry Bonds of the past 20 years, I would say. His 10-year stretch from 2001 to 2011 was insane.
I mean, I just feel like he should be getting gifts and tributes and stuff when he goes to a ballpark for the last time.
Yeah, he has some, but yeah, not as much as you would think.
I mean, I remember when Ichiro and especially Mariano Rivera were going places. That was publicized all over the place.
Yeah.
So just interesting. On this day, 1994, the CFL American expansion Shreveport Pirates lost the game 40-10 at the Ottawa Rough Riders. They folded the following year in 1995. So the CFL had an American expansion.
I was going to say Shreveport, Louisiana.
I did not know that. That's great. On the day 1996, in a 2-0 win versus the Brewers, New York Yankees closer John Wettenland set an MLB record 20 consecutive saves en route to 24.
Yeah, Johnny Wetland. He was a pretty good closer. He was usurped by Mariano Rivera, who had a little bit better of a career.
Yes. Well, Eric Gagne defeated that consecutive streak.
Yeah, he was
like 70 something, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
I think he hit 70 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a guy I haven't thought of in a while.
He was roided to the max.
Yes, he was. A lot of Wimbledon. On this day in 2015, Floyd Mayweather Jr. was stripped of his WBO welterweight boxing title after failing to pay $200,000 in a sanctioning fee in vacating his two junior middleweight titles.
I do not like Floyd.
And he's a very unlikable dude.
I would not say it to his face, though.
I would not either, because my nose would be I'd be dead. But I was going to say my nose would be way that way, but I'd be dead. On this day, 2019, the LA Clippers acquired two NBA megastars in one day. Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard from Toronto in free agency and Paul George from Oklahoma City for an trade bounty of picks and players. Huh. And on this day in 2020, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes agrees to the largest contract for an athlete in sports history, inking a 12-year deal that could end up being worth $503 million.
He's probably still funding his brother's TikTok career.
Man, I forgot about his brother.
I'm already dreading football season because of him.
Yeah. That'll maybe. Nah, he won't stay out of the news. It's like maybe he'll get the hint and stay away, but let's be honest, he won't. So, but that is the On This Day segment for sporting events that happened on this day in July 6th. And that's brought to you by Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated custom woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, including signs, growth charts. Their custom pieces make a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. To see some of the recently completed projects, visit them on Instagram or on Facebook at Mooney Woodcrafts. And for orders, just simply contact them at mooneywoodcrafts@gmail.com.
Sticking with free agency of sorts, where do you think Kevin Durant's going?
Well, yeah, more drama with the Brooklyn Nets. Imagine that.
Yes, he's still under contract. They have to trade him, but
imagine that. The Nets, the franchise that started with drama years ago when they traded to get Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett from the Celtics, and they're always getting big guys: Kyrie, Harden, Never works out. They never win as much as they should. Now Durant's unhappy, and he wants out. Who are the teams he's wanting to go to? The Suns or the Heat are two of the front runners. Is that right?
Is that it? It always
right?
seemed like Washington was going to be one because he's from DC.
Well, they stink.
Add a Durant and maybe they don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I also saw there's rumors that he could potentially want to go back to Golden State, which he and Draymond don't get along all that well. Which who does get along with Draymond, to be honest. But
well, just an hour ago, this is a Toronto Raptors website, so take it for what it's worth. But there's a report out there saying the Nets are looking for one of the biggest trade returns in league history.
As they probably should.
Doesn't say exactly. Let's see. This was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski. So they want high-level players, perhaps an all-star, and then more players. Durant is 34 years old. He has 4 years left on his contract.
Yeah, he said he told the Nets he was in it for the long haul too, which there is no such thing in the NBA anymore, it feels like. Drama follows Kyrie Irving for one all over the place, and he creates his own drama. I guess he and Steve Nash had such a terrible relationship that Nash invited the team over for dinner, and Kyrie asked him to show him Kobe's MVPs.
Who do you think gets dealt first out of those two guys?
Probably Kyrie. I think he goes to the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm reading here. The Suns and Heat were his preferred destinations. It even says any trade involving Durant would net Brooklyn a monumental haul. The Jazz just got 4 first-round draft picks. So I wonder what they're doing. Wonder if they're trying to cook something up there.
Yeah, traded Rudy Gobert for Walker Kessler and a bunch of first-round picks, which Walker Kessler was top defensive player in the country and top big man in the country. He won that award at Auburn. I can't imagine the Jazz swinging a trade for Kevin Durant or Kevin Durant signing off on a trade to Utah. But again, Brooklyn doesn't really owe Durant anything. I mean, they've given him a bunch of money. So what else do you need from us?
Well, and sticking with NBA, and we'll get back to Durant here in a second, but how about some of these contracts getting paid out to some of these players? You got the back-to-back MVP, Jokic out there in Denver, 5-year max deal of $270 million, the most lucrative contract in NBA history. Bradley Beal, 5 years, $251 million to stay in Washington. Karl Anthony Towns, 4 years, $224 million to stay in Minnesota. Devin Booker, 4 years, $224 million to stay in Phoenix. Ja Morant, 5 years, $193 million to stay in Memphis. And then Zion Williamson, 5-year extension that could reach $231 million with incentives. He's only played 85 games.
I was going to say,
when's he going to play?
He's got to be able to play. And he's signing that sort of deal. Play basketball, kids.
Darius Garland, he's yet to hit the 80-game plateau in a single season. He got almost identical deal with the Cavaliers. Crazy the money getting thrown around the league. But I mean, until I hear any other teams, I guess Durant, I would say either Miami or Phoenix.
He should go to my Heat. That's where he should go.
Oh gosh. What would you do if he goes to the Lakers? Somehow. So Sam Davis, LeBron.
I would probably. I don't watch the NBA really that much anyway, but it would. That's really when I started disliking the NBA is when these super teams. Which, I mean, you look at it, the super teams haven't done all that well. I mean, Golden State, you can call them a super team, but they just won with a bunch of guys they drafted themselves. You can deal with that. Guys teaming up together. LeBron started the movement. Really, I mean, we've talked about the Celtics kind of started it, but then LeBron took it to another level. That was kind of when I stopped really caring all that much about the NBA.
Yeah. I'm not going to care about the NBA till the Sonics come back.
Yeah.
And, I gave my allegiance to the Detroit Pistons, and they returned the favor by releasing Carson Edwards last week.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun while it lasted.
Can't trust anything from Detroit.
Nope. They still got Jaden Ivey, of course. So. And at least they're letting Ivy wear number 23. That's nice of them. So, but, yeah, it's I don't know. The NBA, There's always drama in the offseason. That's definitely the league with the most drama every year in the offseason.
And it happens quick, too.
Quick. Yep. The agents out there are a little different from the other sports, seems like. Yes, sir.
Any more thoughts on NBA free agency?
Not really. I did see the Pacers re-signed Smith that played at Maryland Sticks.
Jalen Smith.
And Rick Carlisle says he will be your starting power forward.
They're going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
They traded, did they trade Malcolm Brogdon? See that?
To the Celtics.
To Boston.
They're loading up on picks. I think they're up to 3 first-round picks now. So, maybe they're starting to finally, they realize, okay, we do have to rebuild. I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Turner is to follow suit soon. Yeah. Get traded. So that's been a rumor for 3 or 4 years now.
A while.
So they need to. Yeah. They need to just tank this year, get another good pick, and build that way.
Yep.
Bulls haven't done much.
Haven't done. They did re-sign
Zach
LaVine. Yeah, I think it was close to a max deal, if not a max deal.
It was a big one.
Over $200 million. So, but this has me segueing into on this day, which I have here.
Word Association. Sorry.
Yep. Biggest free agent bust in sports history, in my opinion. I have 5 from the NFL, 5 from the NBA, and 5 from baseball.
No hockey.
No hockey.
No soccer.
No soccer. No badminton. No nothing. Starting with Albert Hainsworth.
Step on people's heads.
Yeah, he was dirty.
Yeah, did he do that? He did that as a Titan though, right before he went to Washington.
Yeah, to that Cowboy center, he just
cleat to the head, gashed him open. Pretty graphic. Good old Albert. Yeah, he didn't stay in physical shape very long.
Yeah, he signed a 7-year, $100 million deal with the then Washington Redskins.
How many years did he play that?
2? No, he had 6.5 sacks. That's all
pathetic. That's pathetic.
Jeff Garcia.
Oh, Jeff Garcia. I mean, what team did he sign with?
He signed a 4-year, $25 million deal with the Browns where he only made 10 starts.
I don't remember that. I remember him
I didn't either.
Being an Eagle. Was he even a Lion at one point? Of course, I remember him mostly for the 49ers. Jeff Garcia. He's not a very well-liked guy out there in the social media world right now.
He's not. Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, yeah. He kept sitting out, wanting a bigger deal. Jets were like, all right, we'll take a flyer on him. Hadn't been the same since.
I think he signed for like $40 million or something like that too, which is absurd for a running back.
He hasn't been good since he's been in a Steeler uniform.
Yep. DeMarco Murray.
Another one that's bounced around all over the place. Was a back that, wasn't the featured back down in Dallas and won more of opportunity. Got it. Well, and with the opportunity came the cash. Cash must have got to his head because he did not produce at all.
Yeah, he had like an 1,800-yard rushing season with Dallas. Signs a 5-year, $42 million deal with the Eagles and only averaged 3.6 yards per carry. That was right when Dallas's offensive line was absurdly good. So
Philly kind of seems like a place where running backs go to die.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just does to me.
Last NFL guy here, David Boston. Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah. Charger. And then he went to the Cardinals. Or was it vice versa? Or did he go to Tampa?
I don't remember.
But I think he played for all 3 of those teams. He was a big-time stud and went from a stud to a dud pretty quickly.
Yeah, he had 1,500 yards receiving, and then he signed a 7-year, $47 million contract. Kept getting hurt, and it turns out it was because of his massive steroid use.
Let's see. He originally was a Cardinal.
Okay.
And then he went to the Chargers only for a year. And then the Dolphins for 2 years.
Yep.
Then the Buccaneers for 2 years. Then the Toronto Argonauts for a year. He was a Pro Bowler once with the Cardinals, and that was the same year he led the NFL in receiving yards. So
Switching to the NBA, Gilbert Arenas.
Shooting guns off in the locker room or on the plane or whatever he did, a poker game or whatever it was. Great second-round draft pick. Was great for the he was pretty good for the Golden State Warriors. Was great at first for the Washington Wizards, but then that escalated pretty badly, pretty quick.
Yeah, he signed a 6-year, $111 million contract and only played 34 games.
Is that all he played for the Wizards?
That's all he played after he signed that deal. And then the whole gun incident. I did see a funny story about him just like last week that he thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. All of that. He barely showed up to workouts though. They asked him what he wanted to be, like what was his goal, and he said to become an international pimp. That's what he told teams. He somehow got a $400,000 loan, bought a $300,000 Escalade, or no, got a $400,000 loan. He bought like an Escalade, all of that, fell to the second round and had to sign for 300-some thousand, which wouldn't even pay for the loan. He was literally living at the arena his rookie year.
Was he getting advice from the guy that worked in the Dolphins organization when he asked Des Bryant about his mother's profession?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff sounds Ireland. Like it. Ireland. Was it Ireland? I thought, wow, that's even more pathetic. I thought it was like just it's one of their draft guys. Wow.
Yep. Eddie Curry.
Oh, Eddie Curry. Drafted by the Bulls. Medical condition. Had a heart condition, I remember.
Issue.
He was taking the same draft as Tyson Chandler. Because I remember they were supposed to be the two that turned the Bulls franchise around after the glory days of Jordan and then some really bad years. And I went from the Bulls to the Knicks. I don't recall what other teams, but never became more just a role player off the bench.
Yep.
Rafe
LaFrance.
Wow, there's a name I haven't thought of in a while.
He signed for a 7-year, $70 million deal with Dallas.
Yeah, he was good for the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Then wasn't so good for Dallas.
Averaged 7 points per game.
That is literally a guy. I'm looking back at my like Fleer and Upper Deck trading cards in my head right now from like 4th grade, seeing Ray LaFrance.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I thought about that name.
This is one that you might not even have an opinion on because I'd barely heard of him. Vin Baker.
Vin Baker. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that name because yesterday, the Vince Carter dunk in the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games pulled up, and Vin Baker was in that game.
No.
So he was on that Olympic team.
That's crazy.
2000. I remember him as a Sonic in a buck.
He signed for 7 years for $86 million with the Sonics. He was then traded to Boston, and his contract was voided due to alcoholism. That's why I put it on there.
Well, I did not know that much, but that's probably one of the reasons why my Sonics aren't in the league anymore.
I don't know if this guy was a free agent bust. I just don't like him because did you know he was the first $100 million guy in the NBA, and this guy is Juwan Howard.
No, I could have never told you that.
No, 7 for 105 with the Washington Bullets.
I was going to ask you, what team did he play a majority of his career on?
Couldn't tell you.
I just remember at the end chasing for rings.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Hate that guy. Moving on to baseball here, Mo Vaughn.
Oh, Mo Vaughn. I remember him on an MLB game back in like 99. He was on the cover. I think it was called MLB 99. It was made for the PlayStation 1 by that company. I think it was like 98 Sports.
Yes.
They don't make games anymore. And he got the elbow up and cranked down, and it's a big old fat slugger for the Anaheim Angels, went to the Mets and was trash.
Yeah. Milton Bradley.
Hothead. Throwing water coolers and stuff. I remember him as a Mariner, and I think he was a Brewer for a little while. Was Cub for a little while, wasn't he?
I don't think he was a Brewer. He was a Ranger. Yes, so that's why I put him on here, because the Cubs signed him. It was a relatively small deal, but he was supposed to be like this good player. Signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Cubs in 2009. Lasted 1 year.
Well, they've made worse
Cubs
deals than
fans
that.
Hated him. Yeah.
Jason
One of them's
Hayward.
currently still on the roster.
And plays over younger players.
Yeah. Jason Bay. Do you remember him?
Pirate, and then he was a Met. I believe another bad contract, the Mets.
Yes.
I'm enjoying this
6
list.
years.
So far, it's a dumb decision by the Mets.
6 years for $66 million with the Mets. In 288 games, he hit 234. with a 687 OPS. So
he was decent for the Pirates, but he was never even their best player on those teams.
Yeah, Brian Giles was. I don't know if Giles was there at that time, though.
Jason Kendall
was pretty good for him. But, yeah, Jason Bay had some good years with him for sure. Mike Hampton.
Oh, yeah. Mikey Hampton was good for the Braves. Not so much for the Rockies. He did hit 7 home runs in 1 year.
He signed an 8-year, $121 million deal with the Rockies, and he had a 5.75 ERA with them.
He was kind of their first big-name pitcher they ever landed.
Yeah.
It seemed like. It's like, oh, wow, this is a big deal. You know, somebody's finally going to pitch out there in thin air. Well, didn't turn out good for him at all.
Yep. Last one here, Josh Hamilton, who signed a 5-year, $125 million deal with the Angels.
Yeah, one of those stories that was a triumph, and then I mean, fortunately, it hasn't ended in absolute tragic, but it hasn't had a tragic ending, fortunately. But yeah, he kind of a roller coaster ride. That guy. I mean, you could almost make a movie off of him. But I just go back to 2008, the final year Yankee Stadium, that home run derby, just put on an absolute show.
Yep,
and the four
somehow he
game,
didn't
like
even
mentioned.
Somehow didn't even win it.
Yep, just put on a show that one round.
Yep.
So that was fun. That was definitely some names I have not thought of in a long time, which is why we do this segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Proforma Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, they have over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient results to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815.
Baseball. Didn't get to talk baseball last week. Got a few minutes here to rattle some stuff off. Cubs are hot, man.
They are hot.
They are hot. 4 series wins in a row, which they haven't done that since May 29th through June something of last year. So they are just absolutely rocking and rolling. Are they the best team in baseball?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not even having fun. No, I wasn't even having fun with that question.
They are playing better, which is kind of annoying because honestly, I just want them to tank. But I mean, they're having some pretty good performances. Wilson Contreras has been good all year for him. Ian Happ's been good all year. Christopher Morel had some issues the past few weeks, but he's really heating up, and he actually is one. I'm just going to pull up the stat here if my internet allows me. He's one of just 5 players to have. Oh, come on, internet. I'll bring it up on my phone. Maybe that'll be better. He is one of 5 players in baseball in the 90th percentile or higher in both barrel rate and sprint speed. The other 5 guys are Mike Trout, Julio Rodriguez, who is a superstar rookie, Jazz Chisholm Jr. with the Miami Marlins. They've been the Miami Marlins for 10 years, and I'm still calling them the Florida Marlins. And Byron Buxton. So that's pretty good company there for old Chrissy. Seiya Suzuki's back, and he's hit 2 homers already in his first 2 games back. Patrick Wisdom's playing some good baseball. Rafael Ortega has been fantastic to the point where I think they can maybe even get something for him at the trade deadline. Nelson Velasquez hit his first career homer the other day. Pitching better. Justin Steele and Keegan Thompson have been really good for them out of the rotation here the past few weeks, which is good to see. 2 younger guys, Steele 26 and Thompson 27. They need some of those guys to step up, and they have definitely stepped up. Bullpen's been better of late. So, yeah, they're playing some decent baseball. However, they do have the LA Dodgers for 4 in Dodger Stadium starting tomorrow.
That'll be fun for your brother-in-law, not for you.
Yeah, which he calls himself a Dodger fan, but I can guarantee he has no idea who they're playing this weekend. Yeah, it seems like every year the Cubs somehow get the short end of the stick and have to play 4 games in Dodger Stadium. It seems like every single year. But this will be the J-Man's Book It prediction of the week. I think the Cubs get swept. You look at 3 of the 4 guys they're facing. They're facing Tony Gonsolin tomorrow, who has a 1.55 ERA on the season. Then they have to face Julio Urias, who's just a superstar lefty, and then a Clayton Kershaw. Then who knows who they're going to throw in one of the other games. It's going to be somebody that's really good. So I think Cubs kind of come crashing back to reality here this weekend, which is okay. I'd much rather than just lose, get a top 2 pick, top 3 pick, than win some meaningless series. Although they're doing it against some pretty good teams. I mean, it started with the Braves, then they took 2 or 3 from the Cardinals, and they took 2 or 3 from the Red Sox, and then they just took 2 or 3 from the Brewers. So playing better, don't care. Rather than suck.
Don't care.
Elsewhere around baseball.
Who's the book of prediction brought to you by J-Man?
J-Man's book of prediction of the week is brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com. The show, the Tan and J-Man show, is brought to you by The Dam Landing. Whether you want an epic burger, hand-tossed pizza, hand-breaded tenderloin, seafood, craft beer, or a handcrafted cocktail, The Dam Landing is the place to be. The Dam Landing is a bar and grill located on beautiful Lake Manitou. Focused on freshness and quality, you can wash down their delicious food with one of their 16 beers on tap, including a constant rotation of today's best microbrews and domestic flavors, or a handcrafted cocktail made using fresh ingredients. Take in the fantastic views of Lake Manitou in their beer garden or outdoor bar area. Whether we boat or wheels, the Dam Landing is the place to be, located at 1305 Ewing Road in Rochester.
We were there over the weekend.
We were. Elsewhere around baseball, on June 19th, the LA Dodgers were half a game up on the Padres, 3 games up on the San Francisco Giants. On July 5th, just 2.5 weeks later, the Dodgers are 5.5 up on San Diego, 10.5 up on San Francisco. It's getting late there in San Francisco already, and the Dodgers are back to being the Dodgers. Mets are 2.5 up on Atlanta. Yankees magic numbers probably down to like 10 or something there in the AL East. In the West, Houston actually has a bigger lead in their division than the Yankees do by half a game, 13.5 up on Seattle. Minnesota is starting to get some distance there between them and the Guardians. Almost got myself. White Sox are still really struggling, and I cannot believe they have not fired Tony La Russa yet. But one baseball quote I kind of want to talk about is the Yankees were in Pittsburgh, and they asked Garrett Cole, "Do you have any regrets about your tenure in Pittsburgh?" And he said, "I shouldn't have thrown Schwarber a slider." That's all he said.
That's pretty good.
Because Schwarber hit one about 900 feet off him in the 2015 wild card game. But
he's
that's all I got.
He's having a good year power-wise again.
Yes, 26 homers, I believe, 26 homers. That was one the Cubs should have signed, and they didn't. So,
you were wrong earlier about Josh Hamilton being the last guy that hit 4 home runs in a game. There's been 2 since, and they're both in 2017.
Really?
Scooter Gennett.
That's
and
right.
JD Martinez.
Yep. I knew JD Martinez. He did it in LA, and I remember Scooter Gennett doing it in Cincinnati.
Yep.
Son of a gun.
But let's see if you can redeem yourself here with the birdie or bogey question. You can get the lead. Max Scherzer recorded his 28th career game with 10 strikeouts and 0 walks, passing Curt Schilling for second most in MLB history. Who has the most such games?
Randy Johnson.
You got a birdie. Randy Johnson, the big unit, with 36.
I almost said Clayton Kershaw. I was going to say Kershaw, and then I changed my mind.
Takes the lead down to 5 over par.
Randy Johnson. I knew it probably wasn't Nolan Ryan because he walked a bunch of guys. So.
Yeah. So he takes what feels like a commanding lead of 1 stroke.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. It hurts.
Yeah, you usually find a way to pull one out.
I'm gonna fight, scratch, and claw my way back in it. So, but wrap us up for episode 294. We will be back next Monday.
Watching the Tan and J-Man show live on the ISC Sports Network. As Tanner said, we will be back next Monday with another episode. Stay safe, everybody.